Hello and welcome to this episode of Community Voices on Civic Space TV. I am Philip Melissa. I want to welcome all of you dearly and warmly on this conversation. And this episode is going to talk about a subject very, dear to all of us, something about education, but more closely talking about how our pupils, our students are getting back into schools. We talk about the environment, the economics around it, but also we have a series of proposals in the country that link into the education sector. And one of them is the fact that there is a proposal that school fees from primary, secondary, of course, it's been applicable at the university. Now you have to pay that you would have to pay through the Uganda Revenue Authority. And that, when you hear that URA, you know that there will always be a tax involved in there. There will be a tax identification number involved in there. There will be registration to the national database of all students and being able to pick information from all students and pupils across the country. Want to have a conversation of how this can turn out, what this means, the practicability of this particular initiative, but also the future impacts of this particular system on the education sector. Once again, I'm Philip Melissa, and I welcome you so dearly to this conversation. Before we get into that very detailed conversation about the education and the economics and the policies that are yet to be introduced in the country, I want us to first get to know each other much closely, and we shall do that by really each one of us will talk to us about yourself and where you are. Give us a feel of your environment. Where I am, it's a bit sunny. You can see it's a clear day. You have sun. People are okay. Everyone is at work. My view here has two hills. At least now I can look at Old Kampala Hill in the far side, and I can look at Namirembe Hill. That's what I can see, and it's all sunny and business is going on as usual. I'm in Kampala, the capital city of Uganda, and we shall really be interested to know where you are. Of course, I know, but for the benefit of the viewer, you will talk to us about where you are and what we can know about your particular environment before we get into the conversation. Thank you so much for being here, and I will invite you to say a thing or two as we get into the conversation. We shall use basically a minute to do that. I'll start with you. In this country, we say ladies first. So, Serena, you're welcome and talk to us.
Thank you. My name is Bira Serena from Bunibujo, currently in Kampala, working with Carrefour in Dalia. Here the environment is calm, a bit sunny, and people are busy at work because it's a big supermarket, so everyone is busy at the moment. Thank you.
Yes, Carrefour, people are shopping, kids are going back to school. You must be very busy indeed, and I hope the economics are not affecting how much people are supposed to be buying from you, but we shall get to hear from you about that a little later. Thank you so much, Serena, for that detail of what is happening there and how things are moving. Let me pick Bwana RDC, Mr. Peter Arikosi. You're welcome. Talk to us. Yes, yes.
Oh, I can hear you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mulisa. By names, I'm Rikos Peter. I am the Assistant Resident District Commissioner for Kaberamaido District. And currently, I am in Kaberamaido District. We are doing fine. And I really want to thank you for reaching out to me to have me in this show tonight. And we hope whatever we are going to discuss will be for the benefit of everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. RDC, and thank you for making time to join us from Kaberamaido. Let me hear from Derek. Derek, you're welcome.
Yeah, good morning and thank you very much, everybody. Hope I'm being heard.
Yes,
sorry if there is some noise in the background, but that's the place where I am. I am by name is Masoro Derek, and I am tuning in from Bali. I am a teacher of ICT. The weather here is totally sunny. Yeah, those are the temperatures. I'm in Mbale, and I hope whatever we are going to discuss will be of benefit to each and everybody. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Derek, for joining us, and we're happy to have you from Mbale, and we can't wait to hear what Mbale has to say about pupils going back to school, but also how parents are able to manage the teachers and so on. Thank you so much. Let me hear from Molly. Molly, you are welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. Good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
I'm here in Kampala. Kampala is cool. Nice to hear from you all.
Thank you, Molly, for joining us. And after Molly, I think we have one more person to go. Denise, you welcome. Greetings. Denise, I think you're having a bit of network challenges. You need to maybe shift position and find a better position because we can't seem to pick you so clearly. And as you try to figure that out, we shall be continuing with the conversation as we wait for you to join in and indeed be with us on this conversation. Now, colleagues, pupils, when you're here in Kampala, many schools have reopened already. Pupils, students are back in school, and business as usual, chalk to the board and knowledge being thrown into the heads or the brains of these young people so that they can be responsible citizens of this country, but also the world in the near and far future. I want to, first of all, Mr. RDC, you see being a member of the district security committee, and of course, your senior is the chair of that committee, and I know you sit in for him when he's not there. Bring us to speed. When you look at Kaberamaido, how is the situation like from a security point of view, but also from the general perspective of monitoring the day-to-day happenings of the area? How are people behaving? Have schools opened? Are students going back? Are they safe? Are people paying? Bring us to speed how the situation is like in Kaberamaido. Yes, Mr. Radis.
Thank you, Mr. Melissa. Kaberamaido is generally a very calm place. It's a beautiful place, and the people here listen so much when advised. To a good extent, we've had schools, actually most schools here are government schools. And so that means they will be reopening on Monday. So we've seen a few private schools open because since most of them open quite early, but generally the students are reporting back, and we are also having meetings with the communities because we have a few cases of students dodging school deliberately, and then some of them not being guided by the parents on the importance of going back to school. So together with my boss, together with the district security team, we've been moving in and out of each other, of most of the sub-counties within, to speak to these people, encourage them, and make them realize the importance of taking children to school. So far, we are doing fine, and we believe in a short time we shall be able to produce good results.
Thank you so much, Mr. RDC, and that's a very good overview of what is happening in Kaberamaido, and indeed, it is good that pupils and students from the private institutions are joining in, and those in government are joining in also. And we hope it is going to be a very good term, but also we hope that progress is going to be as productive as it should be for the future of this country. I want to bring in Serena. Serena, education. Yes, you say you're in Kampala. Talk to me. When you hear that pupils, students are going back to school, and we live in a country where we struggle with a lot of things, and one of the things that is talked about all the time is the economy of the country is not okay. People do not have money, unemployment, and now students have to go to school and they have to pay school fees, they have to pay tuition, they have to get requirements. How is the situation like in your particular location?
Oh, thank you, sir. In my location here, I'm working in a supermarket, basically here in Dalia. And this place, let me say, it's for moderate people. So there are this category of parents, I think, who saved money earlier. They're bringing their children for shopping because school has started. Like they're trying by all means to make sure that their students are going back to school with the requirements moderately. However, there are some parents also who are bringing in their children for shopping, but you find that they're finding difficulties in getting the requirements for their children. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you talk about the two categories of people, some that prepared for the situation and others who are finding it difficult to manage or to acquire some of the needs the students might want. And of course, I know sometimes pupils and students might want more than they need, but looking at some of the basics, the necessities, books, pens, things a student or pupil cannot do without. Talk to us. Are people able to acquire these basics apart from the auxiliaries of maybe eats and so on? Are people being able to get these basic requirements for school, especially at that lower level?
Okay, here at our place, most of the products that go back to school products are at a discount. So at least most of the people, 75% of the people, they are able to afford the requirements, especially the books, the pens. Parents are making it all.
Okay. That's interesting. Thank you so much for that information you give us, and it's very important to know that people are actually being able to get some of the things they need for the pupils and students to go back to school and have education. Derek, how is the situation like there? Are people going back to school? Do they have the needs? Are they paying the school fees? Bring us to speed. What is happening in your particular location?
All right, thank you, Mr. Philip. Yeah, where I am in Bali, the situation is, yeah, like all the members have said, pupils and students have started going back to school, especially those in private institutions, because we all aware that they report a bit earlier than the schools under government or which are government aided. So students are really going back to school. Parents have been preparing, there is a difference between this holiday between these 3 terms. It is not like the other big holidays for third term where it takes very, very long. Here, students just come back home and in a short while they are back to school. So parents will prepare very well. And
thank you, Derek. And
working.
you talk about a short holiday. Does the length of the holiday in any way affect the possibility of some students going or not being able to go back to school?
Yeah, according to me, I think to some extent it does, because when you compare this holiday of 3 weeks between second term and third term, in this situation of, let me say, candidates, in many schools, candidates tend to stay in schools even in these other holidays, especially this one of which is ushering them into the third term, because the school doesn't want them to go home, stay there and maybe forget stuff. So they keep them in school, and parents are also kept active, because it will not need many books. You will find that they are using the same books, the same uniforms in going in third term, which is not the case in the other holiday where they are going in for the first term, That holiday where students sit home for December and Jan, the parents also tend to, I don't know, I'm sorry to say they forget, but you find when the students are about to report back to school and the parents are on too much pressure compared to these other terms when they are reporting from a 2 to 3 weeks holiday. So to me, I think it also affects them, the parents and the students, in one way or the other, in terms of the necessities and the requirements needed. That's my view.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Derek, for that. I want to bring in Mama Molly. Molly, talk to me. What does it mean for you to take back your child, your daughter, your son to school? Mama Molly.
Taking back my children to school, it's really a hard thing due to the community I live in, the market community. Money is being scarce. I always go to money lender to access money so that I can take my children back to school. It's really, really hard for me.
Thank you.
My children had to go back to school on 9th because they are in a private school, but they haven't yet gone back because I'm still in search of money to buy requirements because the holiday was too short. And as you know, market people, we work hand to mouth. So you have to run to the money lenders and access money.
Thank you. And talk to me about, for example, you mentioned about the school requirements and the tuition. What are some of the things that your specific school asks from your pupils? Break it down for us. What are some of the requirements the school is requesting for?
Let me talk on behalf of the school I take my children to. They usually ask for rims every term. Rims every term, yes. It's a bit terrible because you cannot, as you look at a rim, it has as many papers as possible. I think there are something like 500 papers, ruled papers, but you have to take a rim every term. Can you imagine a child of baby class, middle class, top class? Can that child use a rim in one term? So teachers are giving us burden due to the requirements because they send children, they send for the rims, the brooms, the soft and hard brooms, and sometimes they need us to buy the toilet rolls at school. So things are not so easy to us.
You mentioned all these things. What happens if you report to school and you do not have some of the things you talk about? Maybe you did not carry the rim, maybe you did not come with the brooms or the toilet paper. What happens?
They cannot allow your student or your child into the class unless you provide them.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mama Molly. And indeed, we'll get back to you a little later into the conversation, but you hear such, it's a rather tough situation we talk about. I want to bring in Denise. Denise, are you able to hear me? Yes, Denise, talk to us about this whole situation of pupils, students going back to school. What is your view about this whole situation, but also how are things unfolding in your particular location?
In Porto, where I teach, I teach in a private school. We started this week, but the mechanical students, they are cutting few numbers because Mr. Derek was saying the holiday being short, parents are unable to provide scholastic materials 50% of school fees at the same time. It's a very big challenge because 3 weeks is a very minimal period for parents to raise school fees 50%, and at the same time, all the scholastic period, all the requirements are needed. So it's a big challenge. And when it comes to the scholastic materials or the materials that are required for time that they are necessary for the school to run. So some students are pardoned, but you find that they have brought at least 3 or 4 scholastic materials needed, and the rest can be brought in the course of the term.
So maybe if you can help us make that clear, do the schools like the one you be at, do they allow students to come when they do not have some of the requirements? Do you allow them to join and study?
Yes. For example, if the requirements are remove a lot of quiz and brush, but students come to lecture and remove, you can't send them back home so that they bring up room. No, they are allowed to come study. They bring them later by the time they use the during the course of the time.
Well, thank you for that overview, and we will get back to you to give us more of what actually happens around your school, because it's interesting to learn how the different schools manage their affairs, especially around the requirements and the school fees and the flexibility of how all these requirements can be met, especially like we talk about a very short holiday that the pupils or students had, 3, 2, and in some cases actually 1 week, depending on the school and the location, but also the level or class. Bwana RDC, I come back to you, and I want you to speak to the situation. You had Mole talk about how they take their babies to school as early as nursery school. They have to bring a rim, they have to bring brooms, they have to bring all a long list of requirements. And she says, when these pupils report to school and they do not have the requirements, they actually turned away and told, please first make sure you have everything you need. And you mentioned earlier that you are in the district security committee, you meet people, you meet the schools and talk about how you can work together and make sure our children go to school. What is your response to that, and how is your office, maybe, or the entire government structure able to assist in some of these circumstances? Yes, Peter.
Thank you. Thank you once more. When you look at the topic that we're discussing today, it's specifically schools reopening amidst economic crisis. Yeah, we acknowledge the presence of an economic crisis, but you see, this topic is actually timely and crucial, and I am happy to participate in the discussion. Now, when you look at, we have private schools, and then we also have government schools. We entirely have full control over how the government schools deal with the parents, deal with the students. An example is where there was a government school that was sending away students last term. That was because basically these students had not paid the PTA. We called the head teacher to order and informed him that, you know what, this is not something that must stop the students from coming to school, because the government actually puts in a lot of money to make sure that the students come to school, especially those that are in the vulnerable category. And so to have them sent away just because they have not paid the so-called PTA money, this is an agreement that the schools have with the what? It's an agreement that they have, the school administration has with the parents. So in other words, allow the students be in schools and continue discussing with the parents. You have their numbers, you agreed with them. There is no way you can punish the students for what the parents are failing to fulfill. So it is one way that we have tried to stop that kind of nonsense. Otherwise, it's not really good for students to be stopped for something that the parents will at the end pay. Because in other words, even when they are stopped from attending school, at the end, they are going to have those items brought. So why not allow them be in? Why not allow them attend the classes? Because this helps them in the continuity. You know, schools provide a supportive environment for socialization, emotional growth, and mental health. And that is what most times our students need, the children. back home. You realize most parents are of a working class and they don't have time to be with these students at home. So having them at school actually helps the parents to work. It actually gives the parents room to work and get the money to pay. So we really want to condemn this, and we suggest that the parents and the schools that are responsible, especially the private schools, reach an agreement on how this can be paid as long as the students are in school and continuing to study.
Thank you, Mr. Radisi. That's really good to learn from you. Derek, you told us that pupils and students are going back to school, but of course the holiday was short, and there are a series of things that get affected along the process. Let's talk about the students themselves from where you are now. What can you say about the interest of these young people in being able to acquire education in your particular location, and indeed the commitment of the parents to make sure that their children are in school? What can you say about that?
Yeah, thank you once again. And from my view and from where I stay and work from, on the parents' side, I want to be on their side as well. Beginning from my parents, because they have siblings still to cater for in schools, they are really ready because they have been planning for them along the holiday. Of course, some of them have been studying in holidays. Two of them are in senior 4 and one in form 3, but they have all been in school. And they have been preparing, getting the requirements here and here. And for the students themselves, they are also prepared because they have been in school. So nothing is new, because there is a difference between this student who has been at home in holiday and this student who has been active in school. This one who has been in school, I think it even doesn't require him to prepare so much and get ready for school, because I think they sent them home yesterday. So they have today, tomorrow, and the weekend to prepare for the new term. So they are really very prepared and committed. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Thank you, Derek. Serena, you talked about the discounts in the go back to school items at your workplace, but I want you to talk to me, because where you sit, at least you know what some of the items parents buy. And earlier, Molly talked about rims and brooms and toilet paper, and very many different schools ask for different things. You go to schools that will ask for rugs. You go to school that wants, I heard someone says a certain school asks for boxes of chalk, another one asks for cement, others ask very many things. Let's talk about some of the things you see them buying, and indeed, even away from work, you are a citizen of this country. Do you think all these things, like Mama mentioned, a rim for a baby class child, and you have to produce one every term, is it something reasonable? And do you think all the requirements that these parents are coming to buy from you are reasonable requirements that they should be taking to school?
Thank you, sir. Let's start from this part of the rim. Okay, now there are some things that really, when you reason as a parent, you find it painful. Your baby is in nursery and they want you to take a rim per term. Okay, maybe there are these modern schools whereby for them, doing papers, it's a daily thing. Somehow we may understand, but at least schools could at least say maybe a rim should be per year, not per term. Then about the discount we are offering here, like when schools are starting, most of the parents be buying for their students, for their children, the books. Books, we come to soap, the pens. So what we do here, like there is counter books. Let's say if a parent is buying a dozen, we say, no, this parent has done a lot. Not all parents are doing this. We give you at least like 3 pens as a discount. Then still on the prices that have been attached. Like if we're selling a dozen at 48,000, we are now selling it at 43, deducting the 5K. trying to support every child to make it to school. Thank you.
Thank you. And before I let you go, I want you to speak to the prices because, again, you are in this game. To talk to me, especially, the economics of the country, the prices. When you look at the price of books now, mathematical sets, the toilet rolls, sometimes you get into a place and you're like, when did this get to this price? And tell me, how do you people come up with these prices? And are you being fair to us? Is it what it's supposed to be, or it's you people trying to be exorbitant?
Okay, the thing is like this. Some people are rigid. Like most of our parents are used at buying in stationaries, shops, normal shops. But trust me, when you go to a supermarket, let's say a bigger supermarket, when school is starting, there are always promotions. At the moment, the scholastic materials are cheaper compared to any other things in supermarkets because they're putting discounts, supporting parents to take their children to school. Though there are some parents who are not aware about this, they just buy to convenience shops near them, and they now end up paying much money to something they could buy at a cheaper price when they come to supermarkets. That's it.
For example, and you will forgive me, but this also gives you, I don't know, we shall talk about you paying for the advert a little later. But now, for example, a dozen of, is it called, these, I don't, do people still use them, 96-page books? For example, how much does it go for at your location? And when you look at, you talked about the two classes of parents, do they buy it with ease, or you find that some of them, it's kind of, this is a little higher, why?
There are these parents of high class. For them, they won't even bother to know whether the thing is on promotion or not until we tell them at that. We say this thing has been on promotion. They say, yeah, it's okay. Those ones find ease with shopping, of course. Then these moderate parents, of course, when they're shopping for their children, when they say, oh, as this thing is maybe cheaper, you tell them still it's on promotion, and they find is they even end up buying more compared to what they wanted to buy. What we do here, actually, make sure that we explain to every parent so that they're able to get materials for their children.
Well, thank you so much, Serena, and I'll get back to you a little later. Mama Mole, I want to come back to you a little, and I know you're listening to what the sale of these items is saying. I want you to talk to us about what you think about the prices of these things in the shops. I don't know whether you go to the shops, in the market, to the supermarkets, the price of books, the price of the brooms, the price of the rims, the price of everything, soap, toothpaste, shoe polish, because you have to get all these things if your kids have to be to school. What can you say about the prices? Do you find them fair and reasonable?
When you look at the prices of these commodities, they are in categories. When you like the best, it's on a higher price. Then there are others on lower prices, but or is you need the best, and you cannot afford the best due to the little funds you have. When you look at, for instance, the rim, a lot I can find one at 18,000. So you see the difference. You can look at the difference, means that the one for 20 is the best. Then according to your wallet, you go with the one of 18. And you see, at our school, at my children's school, they always need a rim of 20, and they don't need a rim physically. They need a rim in terms of money. You have to pay the 20 at school. There's no option for you to take a physical rim, or money. The only thing you have to do, you go with 20,000 for that rim.
Wow.
And when you look at the prices for the books, especially the 96, because my children use them, there are some of a dozen of 10,000, and there is a dozen of 9,000. So it goes, the prices goes with the quality. The being it that the other ones are of good quality, the prices will go high, but you usually need the best. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. And you raised something so important. And if I pick in on Denise, I'll get to you, Mom, a little later. Denise, you know, you teachers are being so unfair to the parents and the pupils. Rims every term, you must produce them. But also something I learned from Mama Mole here now is that actually you don't need these things physically. You want them to produce money such that you yourselves now can go and procure maybe, I don't know, what is the reason behind you asking for money other than the physical things they're supposed to bring? Yes, Dennis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Melissa. Once again, you see, the problem is not about teachers. The problem is about the administration and the different schools and how they run according to the administration they have. Yes, what my mom is saying, in some schools, it is really a bit of a challenge, and I wouldn't also recommend it as a teacher, where you find that they have specification of and so you will find that it is a challenge for some parents who are unable to produce or who are unable to provide kind of extraordinarily good quality product. Yet a rim of 20,000 or a rim of 18 or 15 does the same work. So it is a challenge.
Okay, interesting, and I like that you push it to the administrators, which I may be either now or a little later will be one of them. And I hope I'll host you again to speak about the same thing and see how now you as an administrator is being a little more realistic to the parents, the pupils, and how they can access your facility or your institution. Interesting in there to learn from you. And I hope it is as flexible as you try to put it at your school. Mr. Aradisi, I come back to you. So, you see, parents are taking back their kids to school, they are paying school fees, and all these other things. But and the reason I push you to this because you are the RDC and you do a lot of security work. Talk to us about the security, of course, now from your specific district, but also what you hear from across the country. Over time, we've had conversations of threats of terrorism from the terror groups we know that have existed in and around this country, ADF, Al-Shabaab, but also the other security risks that may arise to our students and schools, especially that these are soft targets. Not very many schools have that top-notch security that you can guarantee the safety of these hundreds of thousands of young people that are going there. What can you say about the security situation in Kaberamaibo, especially for the schools, but also what you hear from colleagues from other districts? Yes, Aradis.
I thank you. I thank you once more. we all know that it is our duty to actually make sure that everyone, especially in Kaviramaido, where I am posted, is safe when it comes to students going back to schools amidst the issues that are coming up about the terrorists and all that. But I want to assure you that we only don't wait for that time to be alert. We are always alert security-wise. We have our informants, we have people that keep us alert and keep us updated with the current situation on ground. Even if something happened as far as Perikia, the Sabu County, that's about 20 kilometers away from where we sit, we're able to know, and we know it on time. So we quickly can have it swatted, because we all know that the continuity of education, the reopening of schools ensures students don't fall behind in their studies, maintaining their academic progress. And for us as security, we are there to make sure that everyone is safe. And then 2, the students are safe. And then 3, we are always moving up and down. We don't sleep. Even at night, we are always patrolling these places to make sure that the safety of our students, the safety of everyone is okay. That aside, most schools, we encourage them to hire private security guards. And we are happy with those that hire, most of them are called askaris. And they also help with monitoring the security of the place in following the guidelines that they normally get from us, especially the security guards in the district. They help so much, because you might find that a district like Kaviramaido might not have enough manpower to have the deployments made. But at least we actually have these security private organizations helping around with the schools hiring them as a second alternative, which is very good. We want to encourage all schools to do that. We want to encourage everyone to be vigilant, because we've seen the incident that happened in Kenya, where almost 17 students lost their lives to a fire outbreak. That should never be happening. We encourage schools not to only have the askaris, but also to have the dorm captains, the matrons, both in the female dormitories and then the male dormitories. This helps. And then secondly, we also encourage schools to have so many exit points in the dormitory, because if we have so many exit points, we can have very few incidents of that. Even if it happens, we can have everyone surviving, because everyone can be out in a minute. But in a situation where you're looking at everyone is scrambling to get out with one exit door, all the windows some of them have wire mesh, it is terrible. So generally, I believe the whole country is alert and nothing is going to happen. This should not scare parents from taking students to school. Please have complete trust. The situation is normal, and we pledge and promise that nothing will happen, especially in Kaviramaido, where I am posted.
Thank you so much, Bwana RDC, for that assurance. And indeed, many parents across the country and outside this country are listening to you, and that gives them confidence to be able to take their pupils and students to school. Derek, earlier you talked about the fact that you have siblings that are still going to school, and we know one of the conversations that arise in going back to school is school fees. And you talked about how your parents have been committed to taking all your siblings to school. But let's talk about the ease of them getting this money. How are parents sourcing the monies they are using to take their kids to school? And how are they, being able to 100% fulfill their commitment to these, very many schools have a series of charges. You pay school fees, then they'll tell you development fees, then they'll tell you the RDC earlier talked about PTA fees, and a couple of others depending on the school. how are parents sourcing this money, and how is the ease of them getting this money and being able to complete it in time at the school? Yes, Derek.
Thank you once again. And from my view, I am going to phrase that in two scenarios, because out of all the four siblings of mine who are still going back to school, there are actually 5, and 2 of them are in private and 3 in public. Now, for the case of privates, you'll find that many times the staff is not so much lenient to parents because at the beginning of the term, they normally set a limit. They say the such and such requirements should be brought in the first very week of reporting, the first week of the term. Things like rims, those in boarding section, things like brushes, scrubbing brushes, squeezers, brooms, and everything in that line. And when it comes to school, the tuition itself, they'll say maybe 50% should be paid in the first week. So that one a bit pressurizes the parents, because they are always on pressure to send off those students in private schools. Now, when it comes to these ones in a public school, because for them, they are just paying a little development fee of around, I think, 80,000. Then some other requirements, I think only RIM. Yeah, I think. So for that, it is not it doesn't give a hard burden for parents, because they can easily go back even without paying the fees in the first term. As you know, government schools are not always strict. You can report, okay, maybe some, but these ones which are, I'm sorry to say this, but which are not on a very high standard, it is possible you can report without paying even a single coin out of the 80K. Even you can pay that money in the examination week. But if you pay at the beginning, well, but the pressure is a bit different from private and the government sector. Yeah, that's it from my ends.
Thank you so much, Derek. And you raised something so important that I wanted us to have a conversation about the quality or the standard of the education we keep having in this country. And many people will talk about it in different ways. Serena, quality, standard. And of course, when you're selling these things, you keep telling us about the classes of parents. You have the rich and the poor and the average and so on. To talk to us, the quality of education. What is your view? What is your thought about the standards of these schools and what we are studying, the content of the curriculum? Is it something that you're proud of, that me as a Ugandan, this is what I'm studying, and I think it is helping me, but also to help my children be better citizens of the world? Yes, Serena.
Thank you, sir. According to me, the new curriculum that is in place, I really thank the government about that. Ask me why. When I went at home for the holiday, my siblings were there. And my young sister was like, do you know what? There is a sweater I made at school. I said, really? Why even made for your sweater? I said, but I thought you were studying different things. She said, no, for us, we are doing different things. So at that same school, I also have my brother there. My brother also told me that these days I can now repair what? Like a motorcycle. Actually, right now in the holiday, he's at home working in the garage, using the experience he got from school. Because they're doing, like, they're using hands-on practice. Things that they're doing are practical. Whereby in case this boy of ours, maybe in case there is a failure in getting the school fees, let's say when he reaches Form 4, this boy already has the skills that he can use in the garage. In case he drops out of school, he is able to earn a living. Because we even made an agreement. It was like, sister, since I'm working my money, I'm going to be depositing for you every coin that I make per day. And as we speak right now, that boy has made 174,000 because he's depositing the little money he's making from the garage using the skills and the knowledge he got from school because of the new curriculum. Yeah. So for me, I said the new curriculum really. Yes.
Thank you so much, Serena, and I hope it's a very good success story to talk about. And I think every government official that will look at this, that will watch this show, say, "Oh, this is something good we did." And I want to bring in Denise on that particular point. As a teacher, what is your comment on the new curriculum and how is it changing or taking backward or forward the lives of our pupils, the students, but also the parents at home? Yes, Denise.
Thank you very much once again. So the new curriculum is very good. It was a very good initiative because just like Serena is saying, it gives students a hands-on experience, which helps them to know that the world out there doesn't need lazy people that only know paperwork but can't put their hands on physical development. So it is a very good one. But then it is a challenge to struggling government schools, the public schools, because you find that they are neglected and they don't have the requirements or the resources to use. So, for example, if you find they don't have a computer lab, you find that there are some hands-on skills that they will learn, but it is going to be a challenge to students. That is why you find that most of these, like Derek said, there are some government schools that really don't give the quality education because maybe they are not funded by the government, or the money is misused, or any other issues. But then when it comes to private schools, where you find when they pay the money, they see where it is going. The resources are there. When even students go back home, sacrifice the money to take them to that school because it adds something to their children. So which is, but the new curriculum is a very good initiative.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
And maybe if you give me something more about that. So if it's a new curriculum and it involves new things to be taught to the learners, how are you teachers maneuvering the dichotomy of being able to shift from what you knew earlier to getting to the new perspectives and the new skills? Are you going for refresher courses? Are you being retrained? What is happening? New stuff?
There has been very many trainings that have been aided by UNEB and the NCDC. So trainings have been undergoing and changes are still happening, which is a little bit of a challenge because it still has some loopholes where you find this term something new has come up and you have to adjust again. Then there was a certificate program that had been brought about to be registered, like students to register, so that even if you drop out at senior 3, you can get a certificate. But then it was cancelled abruptly because I think it wasn't liaised upon. So loopholes are still there and challenges are there to students and to teachers at the same time. But we are managing. We are trying to manage through the trainings.
To talk about, is it something related to the DIT, Directorate of Industrial Training?
Yeah, it was the DIT, that one.
Okay.
So it was phased out on a short period of time, which was it was a good initiative, and it would have worked because it would aid these learners who are unable to pay and finish a course. But then it was unfortunate that it was phased out. But then still, even if, just like Serena is saying, even if a student is unable to finish senior 4, or they get challenges and they drop out at senior 3, they will have learned something, because most of the project work that we do, we have time for projects. And these projects are outside the school, inside the school, and it gives students a different experience of a hands-on that wasn't in the old curriculum.
Well, Thank you so much for that testimony about the new curriculum, and we hope it can continue to be improved day in, day out, so that it is perfected and we have a better country. Mama Mole, I want to come back to you. Earlier in the conversation, you talked about school fees, and I know at school you have to pay. Some of the schools you have you pay school fees, then they ask development fees, they ask for PTA fees, some of them will ask for many more other things. I don't know, construction fees yeah. And one of the things you mentioned was that because of the scarcity of money, sometimes you are forced to visit the money lenders. To talk to us about these money lenders. How is the experience like dealing with money lenders, and how do you easily get along with them, paying them back, and are they good people to work with?
Thank you, Mr. Mlisa. Taking an advantage to go to the money lenders, it's the only option I have, because when you look at people working hand to mouth, accessing loans in banks, it's something which is very difficult, because when you go there, they request for land titles, they request for log books, which I personally don't have. So I choose to run to money lenders, whereby these people are not good people to work with, because the money they give you, the interest rate is so high, and it's paid on a daily basis, whereby some days you earn little money, ending up failing to pay that day. The moment you fail to pay that day, it's another challenge. They run after you, you see. So it's something which is terrible, but it's the only option we have. And let me go a bit far from the conversation. When we look at the government programs like the URA, there is PDM, and now there is a new one, the GROW project. Those programs do not favor us, because sometimes you work till you get fed up of working and you leave the money. There are some they ask you for many documents. You will need an LOC letter, like for the GROW. Then when you go to the bank, they will say that it's a loan, yet I heard of it being a grant for the women, the women on the grassroots, the women entrepreneurs. So they end up telling you that the loan is at a percentage of 10.5% or 10%, according to the certain bank. So you fail to get money from banks, whereby these people, the banks cannot run after you every day like the money lenders. So being it difficult to get money from banks, I choose to go to the money lenders and run back and forth with them, because they need their money every day. Yes.
Thank you. And
I have to go to the money lenders because I need my children to go to school. You know, when you fail to pay the fees in time, they will bring back your children at home. They will need their money, and when these children are brought back home, they miss lessons, whereby by the end of the day or by the end of the term, you have to pay all the money, the school fees, yet your children missed and these teachers will not teach them the lessons they missed. So I rather go to the money lenders, not in my favor, but it's the only solution I have. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much for that account, and it's a rather solid and deep account that maybe needs to be discussed and looked at deeper and better. But we continue with that conversation. Bwana RDC, I come back to you, and I know you're listening to some of these testimonies, but I want to shift you a little bit to the latter part of the conversation we're supposed to have. There is a proposal that even with the hardships, these parents actually should now secure tax identification numbers and start paying school fees through Uganda Revenue Authority. And it's a proposal, and very many people are saying different things about this whole thing. People saying it's a nice one, others saying, oh, that's gonna be terrible. I don't know. What is your view or assessment of this proposal, especially based on the community you live in Kaberamaido? Yes, Peter, talk to me.
Thank you. First of all, we all agree that this is a proposal. And so this shouldn't scare away the parents. In other words, at the right time, if this is supposed to be adopted, I'm sure so many consultative meetings will be done with the school directors and then also the parents. You see, it is something that I'm not going to go deep, but we all know that if this is introduced or not introduced, we have advantages and the disadvantages of this. You see, if we are supposed to have URA, then we are supposed to be very careful at how we are going to approach it, especially with the current situation of how parents are struggling to get the money and all that. I'm going to start by talking about the advantages that we might benefit from this so-called proposal that we've had. We might have a streamlined process whereby we have a centralized collection that simplifies the fee payment process for especially the parents and the schools. And then also this, if it is adopted, can reduce the administrative burden on a school of hiring bursars, hiring this, and which is also a disadvantage, which is actually also a disadvantage because most people will lose their jobs. Most people will actually end up losing their jobs. Though we have a reduced administrative burden, and I'm sure some schools might love that, so that they can focus on education and all that. And then we can also have increased the transparency. You see, most schools have been crying that some monies disappear in the offices and all that. But I think with the URA coming on board, we can have some transparency in the entire process of the collection. Because I'm sure URA will ensure transparency in the fee payments, reducing the embezzlement and the mismanagement of the school fees by most of the school administrators and all that. Improved accountability. You see, schools are held accountable, first of all, for fee usage, ensuring funds are used for the intended purposes. This can actually ensure that the funds that parents are paying are used for the intended purposes and all that. Of course, reduced corruption will have support for government initiatives because the collected fees can support government education initiatives and programs. And then now when we look at on the other side, the negative part of this, it can also have an additional administrative burden on URA. And URA can face challenges in managing and processing school fees collections. In case they have a technical glitch, and that is now where we bring in technical issues. the system glitches, and then failures. It can disrupt fee payments and collections. And this can bring in a lot of confusion that might not be easy to do what? To correct. And then I'm very sure this is going to face resistance from schools. There are schools that will not accept this. Simply because maybe some schools might resist or be hesitant to adopt the new system, causing the implementation challenges on the government side. Because now when you look at some schools will be like, this is going to expose our financial status, and most of them want to keep that status. Even on the parental concerns, some parents might worry about the security and privacy of their financial information. So this is something that I think we should approach with so much caution. It is something that should be studied, because it can as well increase the cost, especially that can be pushed back to the parents. And then on top of that, the schools can also push, it can also be pushed to the schools and parents. And at the end of the day, these additional costs can be potentially passed back to the parents by the what? By the schools. So you will realize that a lot of schools can increase their what? Their school fees. And then we can also have the potential for corruption. A centralized collection can create opportunities for corruption. We have so many cases with URA complaints and all that. They are this, they are doing this, they are not transparent. So I think it is something that needs to be studied.
Well, thank you so much, Bonara DC, for that comprehensive opinion or contribution to this debate. And I think the people listening out there have something to pick from your submission and see that part of it, all of it can be implemented for the betterment of what we can get out of there. I think your network has got some challenges, but it's going to be better as it is being worked upon. Thank you. Derek, first, do you have a TIN number? And number two, what do you think about having to pay school fees through the Uganda Revenue Authority?
Thank you once again. Personally and currently, I don't have a TIN number, but I'm going to get it soon. Now, on the issue of paying school fees directly to URA, I think I am not going to differ so much from Bwana RDC's comments, because when you look at that system, first of all, it is going to disturb schools, and I know many schools and managements are going to first oppose it, but later they may, if it is implemented, they may realize it is of advantage. First of all, it will increase transparency, and that is on condition that URA is transparent, because we may say it will increase transparency when in fact it is going to just diminish it away when URA itself is not transparent enough. So we are all hoping URA is transparent, and so if that system is undertaken, it will increase transparency in schools.
Do you trust the Uganda Revenue Authority?
Personally, I do. I don't have any negative aspects or feelings about it, because I know it is government itself. So if in the case there are issues of not being transparent and maybe corruption, it's upon them, but me, I support it based on that point of transparency to increase accountability in schools, because there have been issues of misallocation of funds in schools, whereby you find wrangles in the staff, where did this money go, where did this money go, they did this and this, but they have allocated like 50M on a very small project that can't even consume 15M, but that's it, and you can't oppose as a teacher or a parent or a student. But if that's taken, paying it through URA, I think it will increase that, and it will help me in this issue to, should I say, it will cause joblessness, because imagine all the bursars in Uganda will no longer be having jobs if we are paying tuition to URA directly. All the bursars in every school, those in the account section, there will be loss of jobs. But again, in my opinion, it should first be tested. It should first be tested if they are to undertake it fully, because they will get adapted in time. But as now, if we speak, almost everyone is saying it has very many negative effects. But in the future, maybe if it is undertaken, they will see its positive impacts and they will go by it. So that's my view. If it could only be first tested before its full implementation. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that contribution. It's a good contribution you make. I want to bring in Serena. Serena, do you have a TIN number, and what is your own contribution on this conversation of having school fees channeled through the Uganda Revenue Authority?
About the TIN number, I just got it, I think 2 weeks back, because when there was a link that was passing through, they were looking for some people to work with URA. And so when we were filling in the forms, they wanted a TIN number. That's when I personally went and registered, then I got
because you wanted a job.
Yes.
You got the TIN number because you wanted a job, not because you wanted to pay tax.
Yes. Then basically, on my side, about the proposal of the Ministry of Education and Sports to transfer the responsibility collecting school fees, public and government-aided schools to URA, for me, it's not right. It's contradictory to claim that education is for free, and then they suggest that URA will collect the fees in some schools. Okay, now what will the URA be collecting, yet you claim that education is free in public schools? Then this thing of URA collecting school fees, for me, I think it could lead to potential delays in remitting the collected funds. First of all, the schools that are operating very well currently are being supported by the minimum fees collected from parents. Now that government wants to come and take it away, of course, there will be delays in returning the money, and it will be leading to chaos in schools. Most of these schools currently are under the new curriculum, almost all schools. They do use machines which need to be purchased every time. These machines can have even mechanical problems. Now, guess maybe there is a machine that has a mechanical problem. They now have to go to government, over to URA to look for the money. I know there will be bureaucratic tendencies whereby you have to first pass to this one to get the money. You now go to this one to get the money. Remember, the machine is already down and things have to continue in schools. For me, I think this thing is not right.
But this money is in the bank, because much as it goes through URA, it continues and then settles on the account of the school, so you can get it anyway.
Yeah. Meanwhile, what I know, there will be some processes like you won't be getting the money anyhow. That's what I think.
So you believe there is something in the back that will be happening that is not so easy for the schools to maneuver?
Yes. Then also, most of the parents will be facing challenges. Ask me why. Most of our parents pay school fees, okay, in small amounts. You get. Now here comes my parent who pays in installments. And remember, each time you are paying using URA, there is a tax charged. Many charges will be incurred to our parents who are paying smaller amounts. URA should release us, please. Then maybe, however, on the other side, there are some head teachers and school management committees that have been misusing the funds for their own use. Maybe then if this URA comes in, it may ensure that the money collected is used appropriately for education and related matters. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Serena. And I want to pick the view of another teacher here before I pick the view of a parent. Denise, I don't know, what are schools afraid of in trying to oppose the proposal to have their monies go through URA before they get to their school account?
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip, once again. I think the biggest fear, I should say, that they are looking at is the whole process of getting money on a short period of time. You know, a school is like a home. You can't know when a challenge is going to come in, small or big. So, for example, if it is a minor challenge that anyway, the big organization looks at as a minor challenge, but a big challenge to our school, is the money going to be released on time? Like, what is going to be the process of the disbursement of these funds? Because just like Serena is saying, anything that involves different parties, it means that even getting money involves different parties. You find that you have to get a signature of this person, of the other one. They have to first approve if the money is appropriate. Is it really going to buy the balls that are needed for these students to go to the pitch? Is this money going to buy extra beds if the number of students has increased? Is this money going to build a toilet, really? So you find the process is going to be longer for this money to be gotten. Then in addition, of course, there will be issues of unemployment, just like they are mentioning. But the biggest challenge is on the disbursement of funds.
But you see, Denise,
I also believe that
if you allow me, this money, as it is now, schools are preparing books of accounts and they are filing returns to URA. And what URA is simply trying to do, what government is simply trying to do, is make this process instant, in that you don't have now to prepare the books at the end of the month. URA already has the entire process as it happens on a daily. Isn't that simplifying things for you?
It would simplify things, but sorry to say, but there is always a very big challenge when it comes to implementation of things that are put on board. If I'm again giving reference to the new curriculum, it came and we embraced it, and it is a good initiative. But the challenges are very many because the loopholes are very many. And I believe since this is going to start with government schools, which are very many, the loopholes are going to still be very many. And in addition to that, it is a contradiction with the government itself, because it said that with public schools, education is free, which is literally not free, because if they are collecting school fees, which school fees are they collecting? Because it started as literally free because these parents were paying little money, but then these government schools are increasing this fee each and every day that passes. You find that there is a government school that is almost paying 500,000 as school fees, which is not supposed to be there. So it again drives us to the question of, is the government trying to make public schools have education that is not free? Because we know that the government will also benefit in one way or another. Because if I'm giving an example, for example, like public universities, if money is collected, if they say that, for example, a certain government school is supposed to collect 5 million, but then they collect 7 million, they are going to disburse 5 million, not 7 million. So where is the 2 million going? So it is going to shift corruption from one entity to another. We know that there is corruption in these government schools, but then corruption is everywhere in Uganda. It is just going to be shifted from government or public schools to URA now. So that is my opinion.
What a heavy statement. Thank you so much for that opinion, Miss Asasira. And I want to bring in Mama Wambi here. Mama, you know, amidst all the challenges, I don't know whether you already have a TIN number, but the conversations I hear from the circles are that in the near future, you might need to have one, such that before you pay for your child the money you pick from the money lender, you have to go to the bank, and of course it involves a tax that is going to be deducted from in there, and in the end it comes back to you. So What do you think about this whole situation of trying to create a new system where you pay through the bank and you have to involve URA and this whole situation?
I have not a number as per now. As time goes on, maybe I hope to get one. When we look at parents paying school fees through URA, first, it will be good. Everything has a good and it has an advantage and a disadvantage. When we look at the positive side of it, there would be transparency, because we usually see in third term, some schools, some students missing their end of year exams, or like PRE and UNEB, due to the embezzlement of fund of the head teachers. So when this money is paid through URA, I think there would be a transparency, and when we look at parents like me who have little money, it will be another issue, because as my colleague has said, that every time you pay in the installment, there would be a charge, and the more you pay in installment, the more money you put in. So it will be a bit challenging to our side. Above it all, there should be a sensitization. It would be the first thing to do, because when you look at me, who doesn't know how they pay taxes, I wonder where to start from. So if the government has decided to bring this, that parents should pay, they should first. And sometimes we look at it in the perspective of the people living in urban centers, leaving out people in rural areas, because there are some people who don't know how to use smartphones. So there is need of that sensitization. Then of parents who have children in private schools, what I think there would be a uniform fees structures, because you cannot come when your fee structure is 8 millions, then other schools are having a structure of 500,000. So there would be a question to your school: how comes that your school pays 8 million and other schools are in 500,000? So I think the government wants to solve that issue of making school fees go high in some schools. By the end of the day, it will enable us, parents who earn low, parents who earn hand to mouth, to access schools of our children, as well as the other parents who are of a higher class. Then what I think, I'll not differ from my colleagues who have said that there would be loss of jobs. The bursars, so where will they go? What I think the government should first sit down and look through it and see the advantages of it and disadvantages of it, how many people will be affected, how many people will gain in it, then they introduce it to the public. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And key to note is generally through you all, there is a sense of confidence in the Uganda Revenue Authority, and that is a plus to that institution. If you can have 2-3 people that have confidence in a government institution, and if that is a representative sample, you could be representing hundreds of other people out there. Interesting. Our colleagues, unfortunately, our time is very much fast spent. We have about 10 minutes to be out of here, and it's been a very amazing conversation. Now, let's use these 10 minutes, first of all, to give, I want to get a message from all of you. First of all, your final remarks about this whole going to school subject, but a message to the learners, a message to the teachers, and a message to the parents, because these are comrades, these are sisters, these are brothers, these are sons and daughters, these are fathers and mothers. And what would you talk to them about this particular situation we are in? Pupils have to go back to school. What can the parents do? What should the pupils do? What should the teachers do? And how do we survive harmoniously amidst the challenges? Yes, and we shall use I think 2 minutes for each of us to see that we get a message briefly, and we can call it a conversation. I'll start with you, Derek. Let me start with Derek. Derek, what can you tell the students today? What can you tell the parents? What can you tell the teachers?
Thank you very much. For me, to the students, I just want to encourage them to, to work very hard, and especially those who have gotten a chance to test the new curriculum. We've got testimonies of students being able to do this. For me, I was surprised when I went back home and my siblings were able to make liquid soap and smearing jelly, which for me, I couldn't manage, yet I was at campus. But now, of course, they taught me I can now do. So students should stick on that, knowing that the world outside there doesn't only take people in white collar industries, but rather if you can apply your hands-on skills to be able to survive, because in the end, we all want to survive in this harsh world. And yeah, to the parents, let's continue catering for our children, be it the children of our relatives, if we can, and if our relatives can't, let's just extend that helping hand, Yeah, help someone if you can. You never know, the person you're helping may in turn help your own children in the future. Yeah, that's it. Let's just keep the spirit of sending them to school. We know the economy is not very favoring. We hustle, let's hustle and make sure we send all of them to school. Yeah, that's it. And to the teachers, yeah, let's just be there in time, teaching with passion and love. I always encourage my fellow teachers not to embrace this metallic hand, applying it to students, chiboko every time. It normally doesn't work that way. Yeah, those are my few remarks. Otherwise, I just want to thank all of you, especially Mr. Philip, for this amazing discussion. I hope it is of great importance to all of us. Personally, I have learned very many things, and yeah, thank you very much. I wish everybody a nice time and a good day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Derek Masolo, and I must commend your humility that you are willing to sit back and learn from your siblings about how to make some of the things, the liquid soap you talk about and so on. It takes humility to be able to do that. Thank you so much for that. Serena, for concluding remarks, and what can you tell, I don't know, maybe the students, maybe the parents, you could be wanting to send a message to any of those.
My message is going directly to the parents and to the students. To the parents, our parents, let's learn, let the parents learn what we call saving. Saving culture is something good. the parents at least try to invest in maybe poultry, estates, something like that, so that when they send your child to pick money from home, you don't just tell the child, even if you leave school, your dad or mom, I didn't go to school. Nothing hurts like such a statement. Then to my fellow students, because I was also a student, I even haven't completed a year. Know what you want and know what you want and know where you come from. Those two statements will help you. Some of us, when we reach at school, we try to befriend these children from classic families. And now we try to forget where we came from. But when you know what you want and where you came from, trust me, you'll make it in life. That's all I had. And I'm so humbled that I was part of this show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Serena Bira, for that. And I know they pick a message from there and it should help someone out there. Thank you so much. Denise, you're a teacher. What do you tell your pupils or students that are reporting, or to the, I don't know, parents or to government, whoever you want to talk to?
Thank you very much, Mr. Philip. So my message will go to the students where first, let them students to have that aspect of responsibility. You know, our this generation has brought about different behavior in learners in the young generation. So let them also have a sense of responsibility and be behaved so that the parents can also be able to sacrifice easily. You know, it is very hard to sacrifice for a child who is badly behaved. Let them have a sense of responsibility. Let them use the remaining in the holiday activity. Let them save the little money that they make back to school. Then for the parents, let them have patience. As parents, we should all have patience because the economy is hard. Uganda gets hard in each and every corner in one way or another. But let us have the patience and also work hard and sacrifice the more, because sometimes it is sacrifice that pays off through these students, through our children that we send to school. Then for my co-teachers and administrators and the government at large, let us be parents. Let us be parents and minimize the way we handle the students. And when it comes to the administration, with the rules and what we put in place, so that it can be flexible for each and every one. And it goes again to the government. If it is taxes, we are paying taxes on each and everything. Parents are paying taxes on a matchbox, on salt. So let the taxes at least be minimal, so that at least it can be flexible for everyone to attain a common goal, which we all want to live in harmony and in a good way. Otherwise, thank you so much for having me on this platform. Have a nice time.
Yes, thank you so much, Denise, for that, and stick around for a few minutes. Thank you so much for that, and I know very many people are going to pick one or two from what you've had to share to them. Thank you so much. Mr. Rikos, RDC, talk to us.
I want to thank you for having me, Mr. Philip. My message to the students is educated individuals are capable to contribute to the growth of their country. So it's very important to have the education, because you're able to help in the economic growth, the innovation, and the productivity of the country. And then lastly, to the parents and the teachers, no matter how you feel, you get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. It's the most important thing in life, knowing that the hungriest person always wins. That is my message to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. When RDC, the hungriest person always wins. What a mantra, and it's something some other person might need to pick up from. And lastly, from Mrs. Wambi Molly, what you as a parent, what message do you have for the babies that are going to school? And I don't know, maybe to the teachers and to the government, whoever you want to talk to.
Thank you, Mr. Lisa. My message to the teachers: they should avoid this tendency of taking back the students back home for school fees, because there is a scenario where students were not around, they had gone for work. So this boy climbed the fence inside their house, inside the fence. Then the dog came. The dog bit the boy. He ended up losing his life. So
Wow.
my cry to the teachers: let's avoid that tendency of taking those children back home. Let them have at least a cheat in the evening for this student to go with it at home, to notify the parent that we need school fees. And you see, as you send back my child home, the child misses class. And at the end of the day, you need your whole school fees. You're being unfair to parents and children as well. Then, my take to the students is that parents struggle a lot to get the school fees. Let them do the needful, because these parents need to see where they've invested their money. And let's work tirelessly to enable our children to have education. Thank you so much.
Mama Wambi Mole, thank you so much for that advice you give, and I hope things can continue working out better. Thank you so much. We appreciate your views and you for making time to join us today. Derek Masolo, thank you so much for making time and for the views you give. Bira Serena, thank you so much for making time and for the views you make for the show. And Denise Asasira, thank you so much for the views and for making time to join us. And Deputy RDC, Kabaramaido District, Mr. Recospita, thank you so much for your views and for making time to join us today. And to you, our viewers, thank you so much for keeping it Civic Space TV. This is Community Voices, and I am Philip Melissa. Special thanks to the Center for Constitutional Governance for mobilizing and putting this together, and special thanks to the team behind the machines that are making sure everything happens the way it is happening. We appreciate you, and we say that the views that are expressed here are so good that anybody out there watching that has power to influence or change a thing or two to make sure our country moves in the right direction, never hesitate to listen to us and pick from the views of the people, because these are organic views that people are experiencing from the grassroots. Thank you so much for tuning in, and may you have a blessed evening, and see you next time.